Mutakye Oasin. That's a Lakota term meaning all my relations. Welcome to the channel. This video is for all my relations or all mankind. Today I'm going to touch on the topic or the term speaking with a forked tongue. Now that term has the meaning, or has come to take on the meaning, of saying one thing and doing another, or basically lying. And when you say one thing or do another, or when you say one thing and it's a lie, then that's what that means, speaking with a forked tongue. The origins of that came from the native culture of this land, and probably had to do with the treaties that were promised to the indigenous people of Turtle Island, which became America later on. The treaties and the promises that were broken. And so when these treaties were broken, it amounted to speaking with a forked tongue or lying and promising one thing and doing another. So basically it's about saying one thing and then reneging on it or lying about it, or by your actions, let's say your actions, show that you were being deceitful, okay? You weren't keeping to your promise. And that brings up another term called straight shooter. These terms are basically both from probably the Old West, the 1800s, whatever. But straight shooter has always meant speaking truth, okay, and also has the meaning of sometimes of being blunt, all right? So when I do a video like this, I'm being blunt, I'm being truthful, I'm a straight shooter, or try to be. Now, do people make mistakes and say things that they sometimes find out later on didn't encompass the whole meaning or the true meaning, or things of that nature, you know? So that's why I watch my own videos before I even publish them. I go over them, I look at them, and I'm saying to myself, does this make sense? Is it truthful? How blunt is it? I always try to gauge what I'm saying and how my audience will receive it. But I'm getting to the point now where there's so much speaking with a forked tongue in society as a whole, and especially in America, and its ideology, which I have touched on before in past videos, but I will keep beating the drum. I call it a white Christian ideology, okay? And what do I mean by the word white? I mean white implies completely clean. If you're doing a wash, if something comes out really white and it's a white, it's completely clean, all right? It has no stains on it. And it also indicates when you say, when you refer to the term, or when I refer to the term white, it just means clean, without blemish, squeaky clean. I can do no wrong. I have no stains. I am, my way of thinking is, and if you adapt this to, let's say, a way of thinking or an ideology, then that term white could indicate that there is no darkness, there is no, I have no faults, and everything that I say you should listen to and I am not wrong in anything. What I'm telling you, no matter whether it's a truth or a lie, is something that you should adhere to, something, the road you should walk. Now, I have a prayer circle called the Red Road, or Walking the Red Road. And basically that has to do with Mother Earth, nature, the natural order of things, and it has to do with character, personality traits. Things like virtue and truth and honesty and courage and compassion and love and perseverance and wisdom and just some good virtues that one should practice in one's life. So when you walk the red road, there is a Lakota elder that spoke on this that I am in alignment with. And he said, and his name was Thunder as well. See, there's a whole group of people in the Thunder tradition. I didn't get my name from him. My name was given to me. But it's interesting that he would have the same name and say some of the same things that I'm saying. But when he talked on the Red Road, he said, what it really means is, do you walk the talk? Basically, that's what it amounts to. When you walk, do you walk the talk? In other words, does your walking match up with your talking? If you talk a good game or talk a good ideology or talk a good belief system that seems like something that's pure and, let's say, commendable, good for mankind. If you say you walk the red road, do you walk the talk? Does your talk match up with the walk? And a lot of people have said they believe in certain traditions like the Lakota tradition and walking the red road and the rituals associated with it. And they talk about it all day long, and they may even go through rituals. But do they walk the talk? Do they really adhere to the virtues of, let's say, the red road? Because the red road is all important. It's not about the rituals, because anybody can do a ritual. Anybody can do a sweat. Anybody can do a Umblecha, anybody can do the sun dance nowadays. Didn't used to be that way. And say that they're on the red road, or that they're walking the red road, when in fact you can do ritual and not be adhering to the beliefs that ritual represents. Let's put it that way. And this is done in the Christian community all the time. They do their ritual of prayer, they go to church, they take the sacraments, they do this, they do that. They speak from the pulpit. Sometimes they even go out and evangelize and go door to door in conversion attempts, just like they did the conversion attempts with the natives of this land. And they may speak about their sacred person, named Jesus or Christ or whatever term you want to use. But do they adhere to that principle to the Christ principle, okay? That's a whole nother subject that I could get into and have gotten into in previous videos, but a lot of people say they're Christian, okay? But do they adhere to the Christian principle? And some of those, like in the New Testament, and believe me, I have looked at all sacred books, including the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Torah, the Zohar, the Upanishads, the Tao Te Ching, which is Taoism, and all kinds of different philosophies associated with Scripture, whatever that Scripture was. So I probably know the Bible better than most Christians. And I know the history of it and the historical value of if there ever was a man named Jesus Christ, which evidence in history proves that there's not much evidence of it, let's put it that way. But let's put that aside. Let's just talk about the principles and the precepts of, let's say, the Gospels, and how they came to supersede the Old Testament and some of the stricter, let's say more pious laws associated with that. Supposedly this man, Jesus, came to abolish the law in a sense, and to come from the heart of peace and love, proper principles, love thy enemy, treat others as you would like to be treated, that type of thing. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Well, that's kind of a universal principle that just came through in that set of writings, and it comes through in all kinds of sacred scripture, like the scriptures that I just mentioned that I delved into. That seems to be a universal principle. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Didn't originate in the Bible. Buddha talked about it, and all kinds of spiritual masters talked on this subject. So, are Christians walking the walk, walking the talk? No. In fact, they shouldn't even be calling themselves that. Are there some people that call themselves Christians that try to adhere? Yes. That try to adhere to peaceful principles and principles of treating your fellow man on an equal basis. Yes, there are some of those out there. But those people are fastly being marginalized by the greater thrust of the, I would say, evangelical, Judeo-Christian, Judaism-oriented, biblical-oriented thought that has nothing at all, there's no resemblance at all towards higher ideals or a higher consciousness, or let's say a Christ consciousness. Christ is a whole different implication from Jesus the man. It's a consciousness, okay? And sometimes that is referred to when you meditate, is trying to reach a higher consciousness or a Christ consciousness. But getting back to this term, speaking with the forked tongue, even that has, even Christians and the Christian movement have tried to co-opt that term into having something to do with the serpent in the Garden of Eden, lying to Adam and Eve, which is another subject that is I've touched upon at times, because the serpent in a lot of indigenous cultures and ancient cultures is one of wisdom. So I don't want to give the snake here a bad rap, okay, just because it has a forked tongue. That's a metaphor for being able to speak in two different tongues or two different ways of speaking. But the way that that term, speaking with a forked tongue, came about was through lying, okay? As far as the Garden of Eden and lying and all that stuff, that's a whole different topic that I've touched on before. And basically, to put it in simplified terms, when God said in the biblical God, okay, the Jewish God, when he said, "Don't listen to the serpent," isn't he the same one that created the serpent, supposedly? Didn't he create everything? There's another misconcept. Because the Godhead is really he, she. It's masculine and feminine, just like the Lakota say and use with their sacred pipe, the bowl being the feminine and the stem being the masculine. And in other cultures, the East Indian culture, the yoni and the lingam, the male and the female, which is a object of adoration and worship. So this term, speaking with a forked tongue, basically means misleading people, saying one thing and doing another. And isn't that what you see in the world today? Isn't that what you see all over the world? People really need to listen to my videos. I watched my last video. I watch it before I publish it, and then I give it some time and I review it afterwards, because a lot of times I like to just make sure that my words are as spot on as they can be, as straight shooter as they can be. Sometimes they're blunt. I've gotten into a lot of trouble being blunt, being a straight shooter, being truthful. But when I look at some of the things I say, okay, and everything that I say is basically from years and years of research and, let's say, meditation and prayer and a seeker for truth. And I try to tell the truth as much as I can. Again, sometimes you'll make a mistake, and that's why I review my videos, and you have to correct it later because you may have misspoken because you didn't have the amount of knowledge or wisdom on that subject that you should have had. And so words in themselves are very, very important. Everything that comes out of your mouth, everything that rolls off your tongue is very important. That you don't mislead people into thinking something that isn't, or presenting something in a certain context that doesn't have anything to do with the original context, or let's say presenting in something with no context for that presentation. You see this a lot in the propaganda of the world. They will talk about, let's say, the war in Ukraine and how Putin invaded Ukraine with no reason to do so, just to be a tyrant and to take land or whatever, which is a total lie, and they totally leave out the context of the whole situation that went down way before that, years before that, about encroachment and coups, military coups and intentions and the whole ball of wax. They leave it all out, okay? They just start the narrative where they want to. You'll find that the white man, the squeaky clean white man, the ideological white man, again, white meaning I'm pure and everything that I do is pure, instead of an earthy point of view or a truthful or down-to-earth or a straight shooter point of view. This is what we're seeing in the world today. Lies upon lies upon lies, the weaponization of words, double meanings on words, implying words that, implying that words have a certain meaning that they don't, co-opting words, like let's say, for example, the term woke would imply that you woke up, all right? But the term as it is applied in this society has nothing to do with being awake or being enlightened or thinking critically. It has more to do with a movement, okay, and a false movement at that. Words can be very misleading and deceptive and imply things to your mind that are not truthful, or let's say leave out additional information. This is called propaganda. This is called mind control. This is called psychological operations. And these psychological operations have been used from time past, time immemorial. Things like calling people pagan and savages and animals, and that goes way, way, way back. And again, we're seeing that today with the Palestinian situation. People being viewed as animals, in other words, let's subjugate the animals. They're not worth. They're not on the level that we are. Yet these same people are human beings that think just like any other human being thinks, has the same feelings, same emotions, same needs and wants. So you have these people in the Middle East, the Israeli leaders, the Zionist leaders, setting up a parameter of indicating that their fellow man is somehow an animal and is to be treated or even slaughtered because they don't deserve to exist. This is the same thing that happened to the natives of this land called America. The same exact thing happened over and over and over again, and that's what the country was built on, was lies and genocide and the enforcing of some type of religious or Christian ideology on the population here. This is well documented, although they're trying to erase documentation, like the numbers of people that were affected by this genocide, which were in the millions. That, it's gone down to, it was 20 million people in the land. Well, isn't that enough? I mean, even if they leave out the fact that it was more like 150 to 200 million. Isn't 20 million enough? How much is, what does it take to be enough as far as slaughtering a whole race of people? Is 1,000 enough? Is 186,000? Is 200,000? Is 250,000 enough? This gets back to the basic core principle of treating others as you would like to be treated. The inhumanity to man, and mostly done, now, I've touched on this before, mostly perpetuated by the Judaism, the Zionism, the Judeo-Christian, the evangelical. In this country, it's the evangelicals teaming up, or being outright controlled by Zionist thought through money, through payment, through bribery. Everybody that is in Congress is afraid to step out of line because they have been bribed by a lobbyist, a Jewish Zionist lobby group. And they know if they do, their political career may be short-lived, so they put themselves first and their own interests first. It isn't about America, it isn't about the American people. It's not about humanity as a whole. It's about their almighty God called the dollar. That's why I have a dim view of money, and that's why probably I don't have a lot of it. It could be a block for me, but because there is good uses for it. But it seems to always corrupt. It's like when the settlers in this land came over and were making inroads into different parts of the country and discovered that shiny thing called gold or silver or precious metals. They went absolutely freaking berserk over that stuff. They fought each other. They stole each other's claims. They, raped, pillaged, killed, did everything imaginable to the indigenous people of this land to get to the Pahasapa, the Black Hills of Dakota. Causing all kinds of grief and havoc and polluting streams and rivers and lakes, leaving refuse around, destroying the natural environment. Just a bunch of pigs, really. Not to give pigs a bad name, because I think these people are worse than pigs. That was what this country was founded on, was that type of thing. Incursion, force-feeding people ideologies and religious beliefs upon threat of death and torture, including young children. That's what this country, America, was built on, and I touched on the whole monetary system in previous videos. I've touched on honor and courage and the true, what true warriorship is, and what true honor in war is, and civilizations. I've touched on all these things, and when I review my videos and I look at these videos, and then I look, and I've been doing this for 10 plus years, I have been fighting the tide of untruthfulness and villainous deeds and evil deeds and agendas by the elite and the white mentality, the ideology of saying one thing and doing another, deception, covert operations, psychological operations against the people of this land. So if anybody thinks for 1 minute when I say white man that I don't like the populist, or I'm racist or something, or anti-Semite or anything like that. No, I call a spade a spade. I'm a straight shooter. I tell it like it is. And it's really kind of a futile effort in regards to how much I have been blocked over the years. Because they got my number a long time ago as far as truthfulness goes. They're still on my ass, even about comments I leave on YouTube. Something will pop up and say, oh, that's hate speech, and if you say that again, we're going to delete your channel, or we're going to terminate your channel, or whatever. No indication as to what it was I said that it was supposedly quote-unquote hate speech. And their definition, see, here's another thing with the word thing, okay? The forked tongue, speaking with a forked tongue. These jerks, these morons, can put a label on you like hate speech or racist speech or whatever kind of speech they want to call it. It's their definition of truthful, speaking truth, speaking bluntly, telling it like it is. You get into all kinds of trouble for telling it like it is, for telling truth. You can get blacklisted and banned and shadow banned and attacked daily. Matter of fact, I don't even know why I do these videos, except it's good for me because I can go back and review my videos and see where I'm coming from as somebody that speaks truth and somebody that tries to walk the red road in the indigenous ways and living next to nature and seeing how involved I'm getting or not getting with the illusion and the delusion. If I'm getting wrapped up in something that is not beneficial to me. But I've always had this purpose of like trying to tell the truth, trying to wake people up, awaken people to a more lucid thinking, critical thinking, higher consciousness thinking. And now it's not the woke movement, which is a joke movement. It's a joke movement. Along with these BLM, Black Lives Matter. Now, am I saying that Black Lives don't matter? No, but that was co-opted. Something was left out in that. See, they do a lot of things that are harmful by leaving things out. That's how you can tell if they have an agenda or if it's some type of controlled operation or covert operation. They leave stuff out. Instead of saying Black Lives Matter just like everybody else's does, or if they said Black Lives and Red Lives and Yellow Lives and Brown Lives Matter, all lives matter, they leave shit out purposely. And at the time that saying came out, they were even coming down on corporations and different people, okay, different organizations and stuff. They were demanding, okay, that they get in line with that meme, okay, which was totally deceptive, and it was co-opted by a group that might have had good intentions at first, but was co-opted as usual. It was co-opted by these same people that are speaking with a forked tongue. That's part of the speaking with a forked tongue. And you got all these movements like the DEI. I never even heard of that till recently. No discrimination against different people or whatever in hiring or This is just another way to trick people. And trickery is the name of the game, you know, and bluffing is the name of the game. And speaking with a forked tongue is the name of the game. Lying, continually lying, continually misleading. And when events happen in the world, you can't take them at face value. When you hear things on the news, you can't take things at face value. Through many hours of observation and digging and understanding and realizing the precepts of unconventional warfare, and advertising is another thing that has been using this for years and years and years to mislead people. Actually, advertising was a big part of the, just for food products or anything, is a big part of the deception as well. They leave things out, or they twist things. Like, let's say if you were to get a mouthwash and it, you know, the advertisement on there is fight bad breath. Does that mean that's a cure for it? Or does that mean that you're fighting it and you're never going to get cured? All right? That's what I'm talking about here. All these little manipulations, these little implications that, you know, somehow that if you take this pill or that pill or this shot or that shot, or if you buy into this religious belief or this political system, you're fighting fascism. Are you curing fascism? Is it a cure? Is it a cure for the ills of mankind? Are politicians a cure for the ills of mankind, or are they a plague? Are they of the same class of people, you know, those people that are speaking with a forked tongue, making promises they never keep, being hypocritical, presenting one thing in a certain light that should be realized for what it is, another lie. If you really go back into history and modern civilization and anything of that nature, you realize that almost everything is either a lie or a manipulation, or something is left out that should have been included in the narrative, or the narrative has just been completely changed, or the narrative, like in history books, has taken on a different, you know, a different meaning than the original meaning, or what originally went down. And they try to hide this. They try to hide things. Like when they tore down all the statues, you know, when they got on this big rampage of tearing down statues of the Civil War and the generals of the Civil War and the flag of the Civil War of the South. And let's just erase history so we don't look at any of it, because we want to create a new history. We want to create a new agenda to erase history so that we can take, you know, from this time forward and promote what we think is the proper values or ideology according to who? According to who? According to the, you know, the core spiritual values of days gone by, according to ancient wisdom and truth? No, it has nothing to do with that. has to do with manipulation, has to do with coercion, has to do with slavery, has to do with depopulation, has to do with tyranny. That's what it has to do with, people. I know this video is long, and I don't like to make videos this long, because it takes a long time for me to upload them. They got my number on that too. Well, you know, we'll just make this a long time, and maybe he'll get frustrated and just quit doing this altogether. Never mind all the sanctions, the censorship, and all the other bullshit they want to lay on your head. It's about time people woke up. It's about time, you know, that I got a little bit of exposure. Truth tellers never get exposure, though. In fact, they try to put truth tellers in jail. They try to, if they're big enough and if they're making big enough waves, like recently with this individual, Scott Ritter, who was basically a pretty good truth teller, being raided by the FBI. You know, the native people, we have a saying about the FBI. It's called the Federal Bureau of Intimidation. The Federal Bureau of Intimidation. And you can also say they should also be called the Federal Bureau of Manipulation. It's really disgusting what's going on in this country. And again, it's all from the roots of this country. It's all from, you know, you shall reap what you sow, and the karmic blowback from what was done here. There's no doubt in my mind about that at all now. You can't build your house on genocide and expect to, you know, and greed and power and money and the lusting after of gold and finances and all these as your priorities. This is told and talked about in many, many tribal traditions, and that's where I'm coming from here. And the tribal traditions have been adulterated as well. They've been superseded, adulterated. The white man has, made major incursions, and has for quite some time, into the indigenous people and their thinking and their tribal councils, controlled by feds and the whole manipulation of the indigenous cultures of this country, so that they don't, like they didn't originally, realize who the real enemy really is and what beliefs that they should hold to. And if you're a true indigenous person, I mean from way back, I mean I'm talking about ancient people that walk this land in North America, you don't buy into any of this white man's crap. The medical stuff, the politics, the promises, the religions, and you see this on the res. You see people wearing masks. You see people, you know, it's unbelievable, really. Some of the natives of this land are not really natives anymore. They're completely adulterated, brainwashed, co-opted, buying into all the same stuff that everybody else is. Except now it's, the res is everywhere. I mean, you know, they've always preyed upon people and poor people, and even with alcohol, given the natives alcohol so they'd get out of their minds and get hopeless and get depressed. Same thing's going on, only now it's everybody. It's the population of America, and that's why I do these videos. I have hopes somewhere along the line that this shit will all end. You have to have hope and faith, okay? You have to have that. And you have to have a purpose in life, and my purpose is to spread true information, be a straight shooter, and sometimes even a blunt straight shooter, and it's tough shit to the powers that be out there if you don't like this. Because if one person takes it and passes it to another person, I don't need 1,000 viewers. I don't need 1,000,000 viewers. In fact, my words can just go out into the universe and change things. That's another reason I speak like this. Because the more you speak truth, the more your words go out. Words are very powerful. Sounds are very powerful, like mantras. They have an effect on the whole collective consciousness of the world and the whole, energy of the planet. So it doesn't matter if you block me or if you shadow ban me or if you say I'm using hate speech or, trying to frame up people or whatever you try to do. As long as there's one person alive or two or three with good thoughts, good intentions, and truthful intentions, you don't mean shit. And your censorship and your propaganda and your idiocy and your moronic manipulations and your murderous backing of murderous thugs doesn't mean shit to me. The best, the best answer to, an evil person, or if you see evil, is almost indifference. In a way. That's a thought too, You don't envy the rich man. You're glad that he is able to be prosperous. You don't, when you see a man that's unhappy or down, you give compassion, and when you see somebody that's evil, you give them indifference, in a way. That's the true way to not, for them not to have an effect on you. Indifference. I don't care about you. You don't matter. You're irrelevant. You just think you're relevant. Your ego, your ideology, your torture and killing and murderous acts will all come out in the wash at some point. You won't escape that. You think you may be escaping it. You'll probably come back as a cockroach in another life, and somebody will step on you. See, this is what I mean when I say I talk bluntly. Because it really is just getting a little, as Gabby Hayes would say in the old West, just a little bit old. Be a straight shooter, people, and listen to straight shooters and pass on the information, and don't just think that you got to go listen to 1,000,000 newsboys. And even in the YouTube got taken over. Man, 10 years ago when I was doing this stuff, you saw barely a truth teller or barely anything that amounted to saying what I was saying back then from an indigenous point of view as a wisdom keeper, an elder. And Now, you go on YouTube, and if you watch one alternative talking head, you go on there to the home, you push the home thing, and I'm telling you, 100 people will come up I never even heard of before. And they're all using the same pattern, they're all using the same clickbait. In other words, putting stuff on their title to their video that it entices you to go in there and say, oh, here's an update, this is the latest news. And then you get in there and it's the same old shit. Just repeating the same old shit over and over and over again as far as the news. It's like a tape loop. And yet they'll use different titles every time to lure you in. I don't do that. Never have done that. Let's use a sensational title that, indicates that you're going to learn something new on the world situation, or here's the latest update, or hey, this is happening right now. You go on there, you click on it, you watch these talking newsboy, alternative newsboy heads, not coming from an indigenous place like I'm coming from, not coming from the heart, not being a straight shooter, just giving another review, another nauseous, jaw-flapping on and on and on and on about the same old thing in a different little twist. And, I say to myself, people, they come on my channel and what, do they dart away because I'm coming from, like, let's say, a heartfelt, sincere, truthful, and intellectual and wise way of talking? No, I'm not sensationalistic. I'm not offering them all the blood and guts and the war. And, no, I don't do that. I talk about that. But I talk about the ideology behind it. I talk about the spiritual aspect of it. And people don't have enough sense, enough brain cells to rub together to sit and listen to somebody that is being a straight shooter and telling him exactly like it is, things they don't want to hear about their own ideology, about their own belief systems, about their own history, about their own, actually, when you look at it, their own complicity, I would say, because you're not standing up for truth, your own complicity in tyranny and murder and all the rest of the stuff I just mentioned. So if you really want to talk about waking up, not woke, but waking up and smelling the pajuta sapa, the black herb, the coffee, get with it, people. Start listening to people like myself and other indigenous things. Go back in the archives, listen to other Lakota elders. It blew my mind. I'm not Lakota. My great grandmother was full blood. That's all you need to know. I'm not here to tout different tribes, but I do like the Lakota tradition. You go back and you see, I was watching a thing 10 years old about, with 3 or 4 different Lakota elders that would actually come out and speak. Some won't even come out and speak. Oh, you have to be initiated. Really? Initiated into what? And one of the elders actually it blew my mind. Actually, it was like a mirror image. One of the elders had the same name, Wakia, thunder, as I do. Of course, I got my name given to me before 10 years ago. Never even knew this person existed. Yet again, there is a group of people and have been Rolling Thunder, Thunder on the Mountain, Chief Joseph, Man, you go back in indigenous history and you see all kinds of words with the name thunder in it. And mostly every freaking time you will find that these people were either warriors or spoke truth. And so I'm a proud bearer of that name. I really am. Wakia. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there today. This is going to take probably 2 days to upload this thing since it's 55 minutes. But hey, as long as I'm walking the earth, I'm going to walk the talk. That's what I'm going to do. I'm walking the red road. So anyway, visit my website, spiritofcrazyhorse.com. Got some books on there, award-winning books written by yours truly. You need to start paying attention, people, to me, and this isn't coming from a place or others like me, let's put it that way, who are speaking bluntly and speaking the truth and speaking from an indigenous point of view. And not all these yapping, barking, newsboy talk dogs out there, Johnny-come-latelys, which I think is a planned operation as well, to keep you from really paying attention to the real deal. And support us, okay? You can donate at my site, spiritofcrazyhorse.com, or you can purchase my books. I'm not out at God knows, Great Spirit knows, the Immaculate Consciousness knows that I'm certainly not making a fortune. I'm barely getting by. You could really help me by supporting this channel. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. In whatever way you can. Whether it's liking it or doing whatever you do. But I deserve better, okay? And people like me that are speaking real truth, you got to go back. You got to dig in the archives. You got to look up Lakota elders and Hopi elders and other people that speak like I do. And it's kind of hard to find. I mean, you can find a bunch of stuff, but even that is sometimes misleading. So, and produced by people that are using that particular culture for their own purposes, for their own non-profit organizations or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there today. I want to thank you for listening this long. If you've hung in there, which I doubt very seriously people do. But you should. You should. I'll leave a legacy when I'm not here anymore. Okay? And, it's just like these famous painters, Van Gogh and all these people. Oh, yeah, they weren't too much paid attention to in their day, but after they were gone, it was like, well, the words are out there. And I had a good friend of mine, Spotted Eagle, tell me one time, this was Rolling Thunder's son, who I knew pretty well. Tell me one time I was sitting around belly aching, I guess, a little bit about why people don't listen to your words, or they don't seem to pay any attention to your words. And he just told me straight out, don't think that that your words don't have an effect, because somewhere down the road, a year from now, 2 years from now, some of your words will come into their head, and they'll wake up then, or they'll realize what you were saying was for their benefit. And something that they should be paying attention to. That's what he said to me, him and his wife both. Mala Spotted Eagle. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to say thank you, Wopila, for listening to this video, and Until next time, aho.